What is going on, Trash Talkers? We're back with another episode for you. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the top standouts at training camp for every team in the AFC South. All that and much more coming your way right now! All right, Nick, as we continue this series, I really want to talk about the AFC South. And there's been some key additions in this division as we start off this season. And a lot of it has come through the draft and free agency. Obviously, Julio Jones, the big trade acquisition for the Titans. But I want to talk about some other players that we may not have heard about. Some players that are really making noise in camp, really making the name for themselves here. And I want to talk about the Indianapolis Colts first. And I've heard great things about linebacker Kamoko Ture, edge player Kwity Paye, and quarterbacks Jacob Eason and Sam Ellinger. I mean, these are incredible, talented players. I want to get your thoughts. Who do you think has the biggest upside and who's going to be the biggest player for the Colts moving forward?
Without a doubt, Kwity Paye was the most NFL-ready defensive end coming into this draft class, and him falling to the Indianapolis Colts was a massive steal. Now you get to put him alongside DeForest Buckner, and this tandem is going to be unbelievable. I think that Kwity Paye is going to show up right away, and he already has. Starting in training camp, he is blowing up the Colts offensive line, which is not an easy feat. Kwity Paye is going to be the real deal, just like Greg Rousseau is going to be. I think that Kwity Paye is going to be the bright spot for the Colts this season.
Moving on, we have the Tennessee Titans. And listen, the Tennessee Titans made a plethora of moves this offseason, but some of the names that you might not have heard about have actually really stepped up in training camp. And that includes Chris Jackson at safety, defensive lineman T.R. Tart, and running back Racey McMath. Honestly, T.R. Tart is one of those guys that has really showed up for this team. He has absolutely dominated the competition, not only on the defensive line, but on the offensive line. What he has been able to do and really show that he can anchor this defensive line has shown up so much so that Derrick Henry is having trouble getting through holes. And that's a big man. So when you have this guy who's absolutely lighting it up this offseason, you have to take notice. And when he's able to one arm tackle Derrick Henry, you know you have a monster in the middle of this defensive line. T.R. Tart, one of those guys that I'm really excited for. The Colts have a beauty at the defensive lineman position.
Up next, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars, starting with, you guessed it, Trevor Lawrence. Then we have cornerback Trey Herndon and edge rusher K'Lavon Chaisson. And I'm going to talk about everybody's favorite, Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is exactly who he was advertised to be. He is really standing out. He is really making the wide receivers for the Jaguars be better. He is helping them progress their game even as a rookie, and Trevor Lawrence is going to continue to get better with each practice he has. Still working on those chemistry issues, still working on learning the playbook, but he's getting there really fast. He is really standing out in training camp, and he's going to continue on this remarkable pace. Continue to look out for Trevor Lawrence.
Absolutely. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, we knew exactly what we were getting with the first overall pick. He has been already rumored to be, the next Peyton Manning, the guy who was just inducted into the Hall of Fame. So I get it. I understand. I'm excited to see what he can do in a regular season game. All right. Finally, we move on to the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans have had quite the tumultuous offseason dealing with the Deshaun Watson saga and everything else that has come with that. I believe that they were looking forward to training camp, and some players in particular really used this opportunity with all eyes on the field to really show up and show out. And I'm looking at players like wide receiver Nico Collins, cornerback Hardy Nickerson, and wide receiver Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks is just one of those guys that always shows out, even when he was with the Rams or the Patriots or the Saints. I mean, he has always just been one of those guys that has showed up. But I want to talk about Nico Collins, his running mate, his counterpart. This guy has really lit things up for the Texans offense. He has been one of those guys guys that every quarterback on the roster has been able to really rely upon. When you take a look at Tyrod Taylor or Davis Mills, you look at the guys and they're really, really trusting of this guy. They put up a ball and they know he's going to give everything to go grab that ball and then some. He has been able to beat some of the best cornerbacks on this team. He has beaten double coverages. There's a lot to be said about Nico Collins. I'm really excited to see what he can do in this NFL. Hopefully, he gets a chance to play with a quarterback like Deshaun Watson. Either way, I'm really excited. I think the Texans found an absolute steal in Collins here.
Yeah, Nico Collins is a big body receiver who's going to go a long way in Houston. Now that Randall Cobb has been traded away, there's an extra wide receiver spot available, and Nico Collins is about to find himself in that position to be a day one starter for the Houston Texans. Chris Conley's not having the greatest camp, which puts Nico Collins at the number 2 wide receiver position. A great place to be for a rookie wide receiver.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I want to hear from the trash talkers. I want to hear from you guys. Let us know in the comments down below who we should be paying attention to with every team in the AFC South. I'm really interested to see what players are making a name for themselves throughout training camp and who we might want to be paying attention to fantasy wise or just in general through the regular season. All right. Well, that's going to be all for now. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell. We go live every single day. That'll be all. Peace and love.